If you would just not even look at me and just hear Jonathan Gregory McDonald, last thing you're gonna see is this face. Last thing, you're gonna think of a white kid in a white town. So I grew up in El Segundo. El Segundo, for what people know, is like left my wallet in El Segundo, but El Segundo used to be a racist ass town. So when I came in, I was one out of probably 3 black kids that actually lived in El Segundo. So I got to see like me being one of 3 to me being one of 19 or one of 20 black kids, because of every kid that came outside of El Segundo wasn't allowed into the school system because they either had a record or they would cause too much trouble. Instantly I got into sports. I did every sport from gymnastics to volleyball, from basketball to track. Then I got into snowboarding, and my homie took me my senior year. After that, I went up to Big Bear and learned one time and caught it in 2 hours and fell in love with the sport. And I was like, this is awesome. I was actually playing semi-pro lacrosse. I was on travel team at the time. I was torn at that time between snowboarding and lacrosse. I had a lot of fun, but I never got the scholarship that I wanted to get yet. And I told my mom, I was like, I'll give myself 2 years in a JC. If I don't go anywhere, best believe I'm throwing my books away and I'm going snowboarding. So then me and my good friend Ian Sanchez at the time, we would go up from 2 days a week to 3 days a week to skipping out on so much of school that it didn't even matter. Like, Mom, I'm skipping out on school. Like, I love snowboarding too much. I remember still putting my best foot forward, and my mom said, oh, you're just going through something right now. Like, you'll be okay after school is done. And I said, no, I'm giving it 2 years, and once those 2 years are done, I'm done. I got done with my last test. I remember it was a math test. I gave it my best try, said bye to the teacher, and I walked out with all my books, threw them in the trash can. Went home, and I said, Mom, I'm moving up. I'm moving up to Bear, and that's where I'll be. My mom was worried because, you know, you hear of a snowboarder or any kind of extreme sport, you think they're dropouts or people that just don't do anything with their life. Fast forwarded a bit, I lived up there for 2.5 years, and my mom has cancer. So at this time, like, my mom can't really come up to the snow world because it's too cold. At this time, my mom never seen me ride. She's seen little videos and she just thought I was going through a phase. Trans Am came up, which is like a big contest for any kid that's young and trying to make anything happen for himself. So she finally got to come up to a contest. And I finally get to, you know, show my mom what it's about. It's not just about partying and drinking and snowboarding. We're sitting there and it's her friends that she brought up. They're kind of all older. And I was like, Mom, I'll be in this area, like the contest is going down here. And she sees me go and, oh, you know, you're doing good, you're doing great, good job, John. Next heat goes, I'm in the next heat. And I tell her really quick, you know, like, we can win this much money, blah, 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 we can have fun. And if I do win, I get to go to Quebec for the finals or like to the next spot. So I'm going into finals and my mom's sitting there and I was like, I get to finally show her what I've been doing. So sure enough, I start banging out tricks, start doing huger stuff than everyone else. Halfway through finals, my binding like breaks off and I'm like, oh, I'm not stopping now. Like, my mom's at my first competition ever, like, that she's seeing, like, running back up there. Still try a backflip one-footed. Land it, and then I'm like, okay, I can't try anything else. So I have to sit out for probably like 5 more minutes of the contest. And I have no problem doing it because I just left everything on the line. It's time for them to say championships of like who won, you know, the finals and everything. So I'm standing there, stomach's going, like, and the MC at the time was Johnny Castro, and he goes, this is gonna be a proud mother because her son just went first, Jonathan McDonald. And my mom blew down that barrier, threw that thing aside like, oh my God, my son just won, da, da, da. Probably one of the best times I've ever cried, and I will say that 100% because of my mom. knowing what she's been through and what she's fought for, that's my #1 hero. So for me to do that for her and her first contest of seeing me do that, like tears of joy. Like, Mom, I'm not up here being a fuck up. Like, I'm up here trying to make something happen. Ever since then, I knew that like my mom was proud of me for doing always what I believed in, because she wasn't 100% on me quitting school and going to go snowboard, but I followed my dreams of what I wanted, and she supported that. That whole year, I just kept doing doubles as much as I could, and at that goal was now to go to Super Park 17. Super Park is a place where you get invited, but it's not just any snowboarders. You have at least 150 to 200 riders that come from all over the world. You just can't get on this roster. So I decided to email Pat Bridges, the godfather of snowboarding. And I was like, hey, is there any way that I can snowboard at this event? Emailed him a couple videos and pictures of me. And he goes, you got really heavy rail game. Let's see what you have on the jumps. Come and be a wild card. Sure enough, I don't have the money to fly out to Oregon and get a ticket and get a hotel and everything like that. So a friend of mine or my mom said, why don't you start a GoFundMe? And I was like, what's a GoFundMe? She goes, it's a place where you can pretty much put what you have on paper and see if people will support you in it. And you put it up for a certain amount of time. And I was like, all I got is a week. And I raised $2 grand in 2 days. Half of the people that gave me money were people that didn't even know me, but read my story and was like, wow, like, all right, I support you on this. Like, I don't know who you are, but with what the videos you just showed and what you want to do, which was triple, here's 50 bucks or here's 100 bucks. Like, I'm gonna tell my friend to give you money too. And I was like, wow, like, all right, this is going down. Like, ain't no backing out now. So then I buy my plane ticket and I get out there. Day one, I rode around, you know, seeing everyone hit everything, and I wanted to join in, but I was like, no, be smart, like, still get to feel around. And then day two, I found this step up, and it was 85 feet. I decided to hike it, and I'm hiking up it, and as I'm hiking up it, there's people on the right side and the left side of me, and they're like, triple? And I was like, triple back? And they're like, yeah, what do you think? And I was like, I'm not calling it. Like, every time that I've ever called something, I've gotten jinxed out. So keep hiking up. I get to my boss. He's like, you're gonna go for it, huh? And I was like, don't call me out. He's like, I got you. He's like, I see you. And another kid goes, yo, if you're gonna do what I think you're gonna do, yell out Dream World before you drop. And I was like, all right, that's a safe bet. And I was getting up to the top, and I remember talking to my friend, and he told me, if you find the perfect jump to do triple on, call me before you drop. And I was like, all right, like, so as I'm hiking, I'm remembering that, and I'm like, is this calling it if I'm thinking of it right now? Like, so I get to the top, and I take a little breather, and I look to my right to see everyone looking over at the webcast, and I was like, oh, this is it. Pull out my phone real quick, and I call Andrew, and he's like, what's up? And I was like, Dream World! And I ended up screaming it. He goes, no fucking way. And I hang up the phone, put it in my pocket, drop. And I go down and I'm like, of course, heart's beating. Fucking do, 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 do. I know everyone that was looking that way stopped. Whatever they were doing, looked back at me, and I'm going off, up the takeoff, and I go 1, 2, 3, stomp it. Ride down, like, it was unreal to the point where I thought, like, no, I should be eating shit right now. Like, this doesn't happen. Like, you don't just stomp triple first try. Ride down, stop my board, and in front of me is the homie Tim Humphreys, which is a well-known pro. He goes, oh, what just happened? And I'm looking down and I look back up at it and I'm like, I just landed triple. And he goes, that makes sense while everyone's going buck wild. And I look back and everyone just lost their shit. Put my board down and I called my dad. And I was like, Dad, he goes, what's up? I go, I just landed triple. He goes, you? And I was like, yeah. He goes, and you're black. And I was like, yeah. He goes, that's my son. He goes, good job. And sure enough, after that, Pat Bridges heard and he goes, hey, you did triple, right? And I was like, yeah. He goes, you know you're the only kid to do triple this whole week? Other kids tried it, never got it. After that, I got back home and Pat Bridges called me up and goes, hey, we want to give you a page spread in an article for Snowboarder Mag. And I was like, say what? That was a dream come true. And that is probably one of the best experiences I'll never forget. I've done a lot pretty fast. I tried to catch up in the game real quick. Now I ride for Arbor and they're helping me out, and we're supposed to be going on a trip this summer from Utah to Colorado, up to Canada, and then down to Oregon for a summer trip. And like, I'm excited for that. I'm excited to keep pushing myself. I'm never in it for the money. The money definitely helps in order for the fun to keep flowing. I've always done it for the love of the sport, and that's what I'll always do it for. Yep, I used to rollerblade.